Welcome to the Deep Dive podcast with me, Pamela Walsh, and the lovely
Sian Horn. Thank you so much, Pamela. How was your week?
My week was very good. I was in Kildare yesterday for a lovely photo shoot that I don't know if I can talk about.
We can actually, because this is going out on Monday, so the press releases will have gone out, so you can talk about it today.
So I am officially on the board of the club Women's Network, which was founded by Shan. I'm very excited about it. So there's 7 of us on the board. We were up in Kildare yesterday. We did a lovely photo shoot with the Minister for, I want to say, Trade and Enterprise, Neil.
He was amazing, wasn't he?
Oh, he was so nice. Very, very nice man. Very personable. Really, really nice man, I must say. And the committee was there, and some of the ladies from Ennis were there, so we had a lovely day. It was lovely. We had lunch afterwards. I really enjoyed it. For somebody who works, predominantly remotely from home, I do find I love those days out where I'm just with other people of kind of, just doing the same thing of like mind. It's very energizing. No, I'm exhausted today, but it is very energizing.
No, it is indeed. And yeah, I can't wait. So the press releases should have gone out by now. So yeah, really exciting year for the club. So as a social enterprise, all those women, I think what's amazing is all those women that were there yesterday are all there as volunteers, including myself and yourself. And we all are doing this for one specific reason, that's to give women more visibility in business and teach them what they need to know to stay in business. And I think the minister was amazing because he really got it. I think he told a story actually of his sister just becoming the head of her legal business, the first ever woman to head up that business, and the struggles it's taken for her to get there. So we struggle every day. And I think spaces like the club are super important, and that offering something very different. I know we call ourselves a network, but I think we're just very different to other networks because it's all about learning and support and confidence building is number one.
I agree. And look, predominantly my clients are men. They're all men. They're all male founders, all men CEOs, which just goes to kind of show, the balance isn't there. And don't get me wrong, I am not at all for just putting a woman in there as a token woman. I really am against that. I think the best person for the job should always get the job. I think it needs to start way further back. We need to be believe we can do it. We need to be given the support to do it. And, just this setup at home, especially, as a parent as well. I know predominantly women that start businesses on their own that are mothers have done it to work around childcare because it's so hard. And we now live in a society where you have to have a 2-income household to get a mortgage to buy a house. And it's just not set up for a lack of childcare to be able to raise kids. And women, we want to work. We want to be able to go to work. We always want to have that opportunity. But we've kind of flipped the other way now that we have to do it, but we also have to do all the kid stuff as well at the same time, We've overcorrected nearly.
I mean, people still do it by themselves. I know, I bought my apartment by myself and not that long ago. It is still my apartment. I am married, but it's my apartment. I work very hard for it. It should stay in my apartment.
But you're the minority, Shan. Most people can't do that on their own,
Yeah, I'm not the minority in my world. I have a big group of friends, and actually all of those women have bought their own properties. What I'm saying to you is, it's easier. Oh my God, my next house I'll be buying with my husband, without a doubt. But there are plenty of women that have done it by themselves. And if I think of actually my group of 20 mates or so in Dublin, they all did. So, or have, I should say, because some of them are still single. Do you know what I mean? So anything is possible. Anything is possible for anybody. It's look, when you start a business, loads of people look for a co-founder or a partner. because they think it would be easier to have that. And yes, it's lovely to have company. It's always good to have company. But like, I'm not a fan. I think if you've got a great idea, go for it by yourself. Pulling in a co-founder for certain situations is a really good idea. But you really got to think about it, because, yeah, it's the same as having a child. Your business is your baby. Do you want to share that baby? Do you want,
yeah.
do you know what I mean?
Okay, you're like, I always say that when you're co-founding, you're getting married and you're having a baby together.
100%.
You are, yeah.
It really is that. And you know, we've spoken about this before. I always get people to write a letter to each other when they go into business to each other, because it's really important, because at some point you will open those letters. So yeah, really interesting. But what else did you do with your week? Like, so you had the photo shoot yesterday.
I had the photo shoot yesterday. I just been working from home a lot again lately, but I'm going back into Republic of Work tomorrow because I need to get out of the house. So I'm going in there tomorrow to co-work for the day. My brain is gone. Like, I always like think I have to sit down and have a think about what I've done with my week, because it's literally, I can think of like today and yesterday.
I just throw out my calendar and go, oh, did I do all that? That's amazing. But yeah, obviously with the short week last week, I felt super under pressure. But yeah, I actually recorded someone else's podcast last week, obviously with the 2 podcasts, and got invited to some nice events last week. Yonka invited me to an amazing event for one of their launches for a new CBD night serum, which was amazing.
Oh, nice.
And then I was up in Dublin on Friday. So I've had 2 trips to Dublin, well, Kildare and Dublin this week, because I was recording Bebel podcast, which is very different to all the other podcasts that I do. It's all about women's stories, and I'm relaunching that probably last week of April, first week of May. So I'm really excited. And just a lovely new podcast studio in Dundrum Shopping Centre, which is super dangerous because I didn't get to leave on time. Ended up having a little shop. And I can't wait to return in the middle of April.
So will you travel up and down to record that? You won't record it in Cork?
No, my first 3 episodes I recorded in Cork. So this series I'm recording in Dublin and Galway. Just the people that I wanted on, and that's the best places for them. So I'm traveling to studios for them instead. So yeah, a little bit different. I think, you know, and I've said this before 220, I didn't actually realise how Cork-centric I had become.
Yeah.
You know, and because obviously now working with the club, I'm all over the country, working as the female... Actually, did we speak about that? So I'm the female founder coach now for Image Business Club as well. So I am up there working with them at least once a month. And I've just met so many more amazing women. And so I think it's really important to get out of your city. And for those people that do like to network and do like to learn, then I think, you know, even once a quarter, go to a networking session, not in your city, go and meet new people, because the world is your oyster. And actually I think I said to you a couple of weeks ago, I had a lovely chat with a fabulous network. Well, 2 actually, one in Portugal, a group of Irish women that have got together, and one in London. And ended up actually knowing the woman's husband, which was so weird. From when I used to run pubs, it was so bizarre. But so it's like cross-border networking, and we'll be doing a lot of that in the club. So you've just got to meet more people and get and open out your city. You can't stay in your city. However, I will be in Republic of Work tomorrow as well as you. So like, keep away from me, otherwise you won't get anywhere.
Okay, that's okay. I have a few meetings, well. That's fine. No, but I agree, like with like networking, like all my work comes to me through referrals, and all my clients will, when they're looking for somebody, they'll come and say, oh, have you a recommendation? There's nobody just cold Googling anymore, you know. No, it happens, and I imagine it happens, but it's quite rare. Like, especially if you're going to be paying, you know, high-end money for anything, you want a recommendation. I have one client who doesn't hire anybody unless they're recommended, and they've hired, like, they've about over 2,000 people on staff, but they only will hire people that they've gotten a recommendation for.
Do you get people though, and actually I was speaking about this in my social last week, so I get questions every day in my inbox. Sean, can you recommend someone to do this? Sean, can you recommend someone? And sometimes they're really specific, and I can understand exactly what they're looking for. So it's like, actually, I emailed someone the other day because she questioned me, do you know someone that can create a really nice logo for me? And I replied, have you done your branding? Are you looking for someone to do your branding? Do you understand your brand, its voice, its vision, its mission? And you've got all of that information, or are you looking for someone to take that and create a logo because your graphic designer hasn't done that for you? I was a bit confused by what she was asking. And she's like, oh no, we haven't done anything. And I said, okay, so you need someone to do your branding. And she didn't understand the difference between a logo and a branding document.
I think I didn't. There was a point in time that I didn't either. And I think it depends on where you are in your business. Like if you're early startup stage, you just need to tag a logo to the stuff you're sending out. You're not going to feed into that whole brand at that point. You're not going to be able to afford it. Like you're just plowing money into your operations.
I think the answer is you can't not afford it, because the amount of businesses that I've worked with that we've had to detangle a €80 logo that they bought off the internet on Fiverr, and which has left them with a brand, like colours, everything that they don't even like, but they just shoved it up because it was £100. Like I've done some really worked with some beautiful graphic designers that are starting out in their businesses and done beautiful brands for people for €800. I've also done fabulous brands for people with fabulous people for €7,000. So for me, it's like, don't sit down. There's two things I'd never scrape on when I'm starting my business, and that is, well, there's three probably: the legal side, insurance, etc. Make sure that you're covered. The branding, make sure you represent yourself in the right way, and that includes your photography. So
yeah.
And that's that to me is like, some people back in the day, I used to have a friend that I'd say to her, just start your business, like, you're annoying me now. She'd be like, oh, when I get my headed paper, when I get this, when I get that. That used to be her thing, do you know what I mean? And for me, it's like, look, if you're ready, start. You can start. I would rather you just put a picture of you or something in your icons, do you know what I mean, to fill that space. Just start, make a bit of money, and spend that first bit of money on getting it right. Because start, do you know what I mean? Obviously, legally wise, make sure you're covered always before you do anything. The amount of people that like don't have like liability and stuff, you know, and they're advertising and they're like, but I'm a solopreneur, and I'm self-employed, and I'm just helping people and coaching, you know, helping them, and I'm like, yes, but you need to cover yourself, because if you advise somebody to do something, they do and it doesn't work, you need to be insured for that.
100%, like professional indemnity, every single like there's a lot of insurances you don't need if you don't have staff and you don't have premises, but everybody needs professional indemnity insurance if they are taking money from anybody for anything. You always need that. And that is just purely service based then.
And then and knowing what you can say and what you can't say. The other day, actually, someone asked me something in Pilates studio, and I'm a Pilates instructor, and she said, you know, Sean, this is happening, and la 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 la, and she went on for a little bit, and I said, okay, and she's like, so what do you think? And I went, what I think is, I can't advise you. I'm not legally allowed to advise you. You must go to your doctor and then ask your doctor what it is, come back to me, tell me what it is, and then I'll be able to give you exercises to help you with that.
Yeah.
But I can't tell you, I'm not a doctor, you know, and that's why a lot of the time you might go to like a physio or something, and they'll use words like, I think it's this, I think it's this, and they use that I think it is, because if they say it's definitely this and it's not that, they're in trouble.
Yeah.
That works across the board. You know, you have to say, look, I can advise you in this. What you choose to do with it then is really your decision.
Yeah, well, a good contract will have an indemnity for each of you in it anyway.
Yeah.
Like my contract indemnifies me from my clients and my clients from me, you know what I mean? We're all protected in it. I had one review there recently with my solicitor, just because, you know, I just want to make sure, it's a big client, that, you know, everyone is covered, everyone is protected, but I want to be very protected within that because I am the smaller entity in that relationship. That legal side. And I know there's a lot of people not realizing it, even just, you know, from a compliance point of view, knowing what you need to be compliant for. There's a lot of people out there doing bookkeeping that aren't registered for anti-money laundering, and you have to be if you're a bookkeeper. You know, there are people out there calling themselves like accountants and doing accountancy work that aren't holding an accounting practicing cert. You know, there's a lot of compliance around different things. So check with people what they are. You can call yourself anything, but at the end of the day, you can also be sued. So
yeah. I said to someone yesterday, it only takes one dickhead, only one, and that ruins your career.
yeah.
So make sure that you have everything in the right place. But yeah, I really, so those would be my things. And I would say get started by all means, but don't just get a logo. Please don't do it. It's a waste of money. It actually confuses people. You're better off not having a logo and then just do it properly. And like I say, you can do it for minimal price, or you can do it for a really extreme price. And especially when you're starting out, you need to find someone that can do it for you, but do it well. And that means to give you a branding document that if anybody comes to work for you, you'll be able to give it to them. They'll understand your mission, vision, values, how you speak, what typography you use, what colours you use, where you use them, etc., etc. And like I say, you know, I know people that can do that for a few hundred, and I knew people that can do that for tens of thousands.
Yeah, I'd say, because I've like, obviously my brother's a designer, but I like, I have friends as well who are designers, and they're the same. They do all the same thing, and it's even when I sat down to get my logo designed, and at that stage I was in the early startup stage. I was just like, hadn't really a full brand, but I knew I needed something to tag to myself. But I still had to go through, to fill out all these forms to like figure and like answer all these questions, and it was all, what do I want it to portray?
Yeah, that's because you weren't having a logo done.
Yeah, that's it. It's not just a logo. It's not just a, you know, and like you can see, I can see the Canva logos that people have built themselves, you know, people, and you can see that.
Yeah, they're all the same. I don't like them. But look, necessity needs. So tell me, because we always do this, we go off on a kilter, and I love those conversations. But let's talk about Mr. Stephen.
Mr. Stephen
What law are we
Bartlett.
doing? Yes, let's talk.
Are doing, I think it's law 21. Let me just check the number.
Yes,
yeah, law 21.
You must outfail the competition, possibly the story of my life. So I did like this because anyway, I'll let you explain it, and then we'll talk about it.
So failure is not a bad thing, and to increase your chances of success, you need to increase your failure rate. Each time something is tried and found not to work, valuable information is gained that can be shared with your team. Businesses that experiment faster fail faster, and then continue to experiment nearly always outpace the competition. Failure equals feedback, feedback equals knowledge, knowledge equals power, so failure gives you power.
Cool. So tell me, what did you think about this law, and how comfortable are you with quick failure?
I struggled with it. I definitely do.
I know, you see your throat going then. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I do struggle with it. But because you still have to pay your mortgage at the end of the day. You know what I mean? And I completely agree. I think you do need to experiment, and I think you won't know unless you try it. And I think the older I'm getting, the better I'm getting at that, because it's like, fuck it, the world won't end. I'll just try and see what happens. But within it, there's two types of decision making. There's like experimenting with things that you can't come back from, and when you're in it, you're in it. And then there's experimenting with things that, well, you can try it and reverse it again.
So what I'm going to say to you, they're actually the same, because when you try something, or you whatever, you know, when you try anything, they actually come under the same remit, because the whole premise of this is it doesn't matter if you fail. So trying something and realizing that it's not going to work and stopping it, that should not affect. And you know, I'm back to, actually, a lot of the time people aren't even watching, people aren't even listening. So you know, because you're deep head in it, but they don't all know. So like, better to like that old saying, I think my grandfather used to say, better to try and fail than never to try at all. This is where I come in to my happy place, because the more you fail, it's like collecting no's, isn't it? We know that if we want to send out, we've got to collect the no's to get the yeses. It's the same with failure and success. You just keep going. And this is where I think personality types come in, because you're like a real, so you're, for me, you're a blue-green, so you're analytical, you like information. That's why you're really good at your role.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm a red-yellow. I'm like, come on, let's do this. And let's just, if it fucks up, let's laugh about it. You know what I mean? But I think that as well is information. And we talk about failure gives you information. Information is power, without a doubt. And obviously at 52, I've failed a lot more than someone at 32 or at 22 or at 42. So therefore I have more information, which gives me more power, which gives me the power to fail again.
Well, when you've failed and you've come back from it, that's great evidence to yourself that, okay, the world doesn't end. I can do something else. You know what I mean? I do think, though, the more successful you are, and whatever like success can be financially or your flexibility or whatever it is that success is to you, the more successful you are, it's harder to go and fail, because you want to keep that, it is definitely much harder.
That's what people think. That's what people think of you. Why would you be worried to fail as a success?
But obviously financially, because if you're financially sound and you're financially have a good income and you experiment and it affects that is very frightening, you know what I mean, to do.
Like, I'd never be frightened of failing. Like, I have 3 good businesses. Sometimes I try things all the time. 10 years in Elite, we tried something the other month. We tried something this month. We're always trying, or ever evolving, never sitting still. Trying something, didn't work, take it off, do this, take it off. I am never worried about money. I'm never worried about paying my mortgage. Why?
Why? Because you have 3 businesses? Three, because you have multiple streams of income?
No, because I know how to make money. And if I need to go and wash pots down the street, because no one else wants that job, no one else is washing pots, no one else is cleaning at the moment. You can't get a cleaner for love nor money.
I've been saying this. Yeah, I literally have said that to my husband. Yeah.
If I fail, I'll just go and clean someone's house.
That's what I've said as well. I've literally said that sentence a couple of months back. I was like, if this doesn't work, I'm just going to go cleaning, because I can't get a cleaner. So clearly people want a cleaner.
Can't get a cleaner for love nor money. Can't get someone to organise your life for love nor money. But that's what I'm saying. And the thing is, though, this does suit quick processes.
Yeah.
It doesn't suit analytical bodies. So you need, that's back to in your teams or your advisors or your mentors or your VA, whoever it might be, or your best mate, you need someone opposite to you. Because like for me, I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Let's process it. Fine, let's do it. Okay, 12-day time. Not sure this is working. Let's look at it. Give it another 9 days. No, that's not working. Pull it off. Whereas a processor, so for instance, if I worked back in my corporate days, I'd be like, come on, I really think we should try this. Let's do it. Let's do it. And I'd have to wait for the red tape.
That's the bureaucracy. And he talks about that in the book, actually, like the bureaucracy, it just slows decision making, but that comes with middle management, like companies that have lots of like management structures. That's what I love startups and founder based businesses, because the management structures in them are normally much smaller. Middle management aren't nearly as motivated to be innovative and change and challenge the status quo as much as like a founder or the kind of the new less experienced staff, because it's the upper and the bottom of the kind of we'll say the pyramid within a company. They're the most innovative people, because the visionary, the founder, is the one running everything, making the fast, snappy decisions. And the people coming in are new and fresh-faced and want to learn, and they're enthusiastic. It's that middle management. They don't want to affect their KPIs. They don't want to affect the reports. it's
Well, that
very hard to
depends on
get
who
them
they work
around.
for.
Hmm?
That depends on who they work for. If they work in an environment where they are allowed to be innovative. So, for instance, the company that I worked for, actually, because I was middle management, and we would have been called Mavericks as middle management, but our KPIs were to make failings.
That's brilliant, like, and that's what you want. But it's unusual.
But
You wouldn't see that a lot in Ireland.
Well, you would in the right companies. I've got a few examples. You know, LinkedIn are a really good company like that. Really give the freedom to their management style.
Mm-hmm.
On hotels, a chain of hotels, they're very good at that. And I think that's what we need to remember. And if your company, the companies that you worked for weren't good for that, then they were behind the times. I mean, I left my business, I left working for somebody
SMEs.
15 years ago. And so you'll hear me say a lot when I have meetings, this is a clean white sheet of paper. Because nothing is ever set in stone. It never was when I worked in corporate. It's never been in any of my businesses. And that's what gives you the opportunity to fail, a clean sheet of paper. You can do whatever you want to do.
Yeah,
So
no, and I do love that, but I it comes with founder-led businesses run like that, and they're run well. But I think in the SME landscape within Ireland, a lot of SMEs are second generation SMEs, so they're not founder-led anymore. And they're kind of gone into like just the management leadership and the operationalizing of it. There's no
working with the wrong people. They need to employ people.
Totally. Yeah.
Need to employ new eyes to come into their business. I have to be honest, when I'm working with a larger SMEs, because I obviously work with a lot of small ones, when I'm working with the larger ones, that's the first thing I ask them is, I need permission.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to say stuff that you might go, but we've always done it like that.
And it's all my work. Yeah.
But you need to change that.
No, I'm working with a really big, like a high potential startup now, and they're blasting through things, and the decision making there is beautiful because it's so quickly.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I thought you were saying that they don't do that.
No, historically, when I've been in employment working for larger SMEs, I've worked for companies that don't, because the middle management isn't. Now, the projects that I will take on are founder-led companies. I try to not, because honestly, I just know myself from running projects in companies that aren't founder-led, change is so slow. They don't want to challenge the status quo, and that we've just always done it this way basically should be the tagline on the walls in half of these companies.
Okay, so lucky that I'm not coming across many anymore. But yeah. So look, my message on this one is I couldn't agree more with this rule. You need to process quick. You need to move on quick. You need to fail quick, because the quicker you fail, the more you learn, the more successful you will be. And it is that thing of listen to your gut. If you think it's right, move as quick as you can. It is that thing of having 100% buy-in, get 51% buy-in, and then just go for it. And don't be scared of it. Founder fear is a thing as well. Oh, I've got it to this point. What if I fuck up? What if you fuck up? What's the worst that can happen? Actually, Chupi was a great interview. What's the worst that can happen? Realistically, let's get a bit more flexible. Let's get a bit more exciting, and let's make some failings.
I do think, though, you need to kind of measure things. Like, if it's not measured, it's not managed, because and I know that's not your forte either, but like, if you're not logging stuff, like after any project, we'll always have like a project learnings to figure out what went right, what went wrong, what can we use again.
If you don't analyze the failure, how do you learn from it?
Exactly.
I'm not saying fail every day and don't analyze it. I'm saying fail more.
But just track stuff while you are experimenting. You need to be tracking it and figuring out what's going on.
Track it, surely, no? Doesn't that go without saying? Anybody that, if you're trying something new, surely you're tracking the information, otherwise you have learned nothing.
No, I've seen people not do that. Yeah, I have. Like, you. Okay. I've seen, like, if it's been done wrong, I've seen it done wrong.
So for instance, like I talk about testing, so I test all the time on social media. And somebody said to me the other day, actually, oh, I'm going to test this, Sean. What do you think? And I said, definitely give it a test. Like, change it up. Let's see what happens. She's like, so I'm going to do that now for the next 3 days, and I'm going to do this. And I went, no, 21 days.
Yeah.
Test it. 21 days, a month. Make the changes. Put it together. When I say about failing quicker, it's all planned. I'm a quick processor. You want me to put a document together? I'll do it in the next 10 minutes. We'll get it out. Back of a fag packet. Started all my businesses. Oh, I've got this idea. Drawing pictures on the scraps of paper. That's what a quick process. Doesn't mean there's not planning. Doesn't mean it's not a professional way to do it. Doesn't mean you don't analyze it at the end. If you don't analyze your failings, you don't learn. And the whole thing about this is the more you fail, the more you learn. But if you don't document it, you learn nothing.
No, I know, and because I'm big for planning. It's so important in businesses. I just see time and time again, there's not enough planning happening. And then you can have the other side of it where they're spending too long on a plan and not enough time in action. But like a plan and documenting things is really important just so you can capture it. Because I agree. I think your gut, and I go with my gut now over everything these days because it's so strong with things. But you have to be informed. You have to have all the information that you have. And to get to that 51%, because he brings that up, it's like how Barack Obama makes his decisions. He makes sure he has as much information available as possible for the situation he's making a decision on. Once he's to the point of 50%, yes or no, he'll go in that direction with his gut. But your gut will only work if you've informed it and you've given it as much information as possible about a situation.
But decisions can be an organic process. So when we talk about gathering information, that could have been you talking to people over the last 6 months, and every time you talk to someone, you think, do you know what? I think this might be a good idea. It's not about you have to create a 30-page document with stats, etc. When we're talking about process, this could be a process. Remember, your gut is your second brain. You know, you feel everything in your gut. So understanding and process could be conversations that you have had, and something is sitting with you, and something is telling you to do something, and you go, do you know what? We're going to give this a go. It's not always about like creating a document, doing a business plan, da la la da la. Do you know what I mean? Because if you had to do that every time, it just takes too bloody long. When something sits in your gut, just all I'm saying is give it a go. Do not be scared of failure. Fail more. Collect the no's, fail more, learn more, move on, become a success.
That's it. Do those things and just become a success.
End of. Absolutely. Oh, okay.
This actually leads into the next one really, really well, because you must become a plan A thinker. So basically there is no plan B. We are just doing plan A. So this law remains one of the most uncomfortable, unavoidable realities in the human condition. The amount of ourselves that we can dedicate to an outcome, mind, energy, and focus is positively correlated with the likelihood of that outcome. Some call this manifestation, but I call it plan A thinking. In the pursuit of your most important goals, a backup plan is an additional weight to carry, a motivational burden to bring, and distracting companion to call. There's no greater force of creativity, determination, and commitment than a person undistracted by plan B. That's going back to making a plan. How important planning is.
This is a pure mindset piece.
I think the first step in it, where most people fail, is not knowing what they actually want.
Then that isn't a plan.
You don't, because I think a lot of people get swept up in the shoulds, and I think you're very distractible then to plan B's and plan C's from that. So it's determining what you actually know what you want, and people find it really hard, and I actually find it really hard. I'm still struggling with certain things about certain directions to go in, but what I do is if I can't really put my hand on specifically what I want, I'll re-engineer it. I'll go, okay, what don't I want? And then I'll start ruling stuff out from there. And then I'll end up with a limited amount of variables and choices and options. And then from there, I can go, okay, out of what I'm now left with, what is it that I want from here?
But this rule is not about creating. Okay, so it's not about coming up with a decision. This is about once you've made the decision. So once you've listened to your gut and said, I'm going to go and do that, why have a plan B? And I see both sides of the fence on this. I do think it's a mindset piece, because it's that thing of, all those things that scare us, like, should we put all of our eggs in one basket? Is it a bit risky? What if I fail? And all that. And it's like, you've got to change your wording, the way you speak. What if you succeed? Why is risk like seen as reckless and maverick? Risk is like exciting. Do you know what I mean? And like, it's innovative. It gets people going. It leads people, so I completely get the not having a plan B. And I've seen a lot about this. I actually just got to stop a second. It's actually snowing outside.
Okay, it's fine here, but
it is snowing outside my window. Are you kidding me? It is bloody Easter. I'm booking a holiday straight after this. Oh my God, I can't bear it. Anyway, sorry. So for me, it's a mindset piece. So I've seen a lot about this on social media recently, right? Of people saying, do not create a plan B. That gives you something to fall back on. If you really truly believe that you can succeed, you do not need a plan B. I get it. And honestly, I don't do plan Bs often, because again, I don't mind risk. I actually quite like it. It keeps me energized. And I love coming up with new ideas and just giving them a go. And that's my expression, is what's the worst that can happen, honestly. But over the years, people have used words, my friends have said, oh, geez, what is she doing now? What is she doing now? I can't keep up with her. Because I'm always like, oh my God. But that's what drives me. It's trying things. It doesn't work. And then when people come to me for advice, I'm like, no, don't do that. So in 2018, we tried this situation and it didn't work because of these reasons. Here's the information that I've got. Do you know what I mean? So plan Bs can be essential for our blue analytics. Do you know what I mean? People that are taking a long time to plan, and what if this doesn't work? How do we pivot that? For me, a pivot is another plan A.
It's look, for me, because I'm blue, I'm analytical, and at the end of the day, I think, well, I always need to be able to pay my mortgage, and what's my plan B? How do I feed my family? And it is like we were saying a while ago, I know, and I've always said it, I'm an accountant. I'll always get a job somewhere. I'll always be able to go. I can go out and go back into employment in the morning. I can go and throw up a local poster somewhere, and I know I can go and clean a house. These are things I can do. I know I'll be able to make money, and like that, I'm not worried about making money and paying a mortgage. Like, not like being wealthy, but I'll get by. I've been poor. I've had to make decisions about like bills before. I've been like that. I know I can get by. But for me, I do struggle with it, because I think I'm still where I am at the moment is I'm a freelancer. So I'm basically selling my skills to whoever want them in return for money, and running projects and different things that I'm like well experienced in and certified to be able to do. But I still want to, like, my main goal is I want to build a business. I want to build something good. And because I'm a very analytical thinker, I take a very long time to make that final decision. And I will sit in that plan A thought process, because I know when I decide this, and if I commit to it, then that is it. And I'm like that. Once I make the decision, that's it then. There is no questioning the decision again. I'm just done, and I'm moving forward from there. And I was like, had a conversation with a financial advisor there recently, and he said the same thing to me. He was like, you really take your time making decisions on things, because I am analytical, and I know once I decide, then that's it. It's gone off my brain, and I am not thinking about it anymore. I'm forging the way forward. But I do think in business a lot, and I see it in startups, it's like having that commitment to be like, this is it, this is what we're doing, and focus. And look, oh, bloody hell, I have a bloody ADHD brain, you know what I mean? Focus is difficult to keep when I see something exciting coming up over there, because I think if you can stick to plan A for long enough and write it out, and when it gets boring. And that's the thing. It's when it gets boring, sticking with it, staying in it, making it better and better and better. That's when your plan A succeeds. And I think where people fall down is when they get bored and something gets a bit boring, they just change their minds and then they go to something else. And they will always have that, oh, there's something else I could be doing, there's something else I could be doing in the background. But it's having that laser focused tunnel vision of, this is plan A. I am going to do this for 12 months. I can afford to do this for 12 months, and this is what we're doing. Like, I literally had that conversation with my husband during the week. It was like, he's thinking about what else he's going to do next. You know, he's been in IT for a very long time and he's a background in architecture. I'm like, if you want to go back to college for 12 months, you go off and you decide what you want to do, and I will back you, I will support you. You go on what you want to do, but make it your plan A. And then that is all you were doing for 12 months. And I take a very long time to get to that plan A decision, because when I'm in it, then I'm in it and I'm not doing anything else.
Okay.
Well, because I know you're like, we'll do this and then we'll do this and you'll pivot quickly.
100% the opposite.
Yeah.
Do you know what? That's I would die. I would die if I had to concentrate on one thing, because yeah, it's just the way I am. It's the way I'm built. We're all built super differently. For me, I do think like plan A all the way. But I do think sometimes when you start a plan A, there is sometimes things will, you know, you have, when you've done like your risk about your plan, sometimes things will come up that you haven't understood. And
the things you don't know, the unknown unknowns, and they're the ones that will sink you always, because you can mitigate everything else.
Put in information and they call it plan B. For me, if you have to just mold your plan A to be a little bit more successful, it's still plan A.
Oh me. Yeah.
The same. So I think it's more, this for me is more of a mindset piece. You know, are you fully committed? Really, can you, like, I opened a business a long time ago with people, and I knew the day we opened the doors, we weren't doing the right thing.
Okay.
And I knew it that day. And, you know, needless to say, we had a 12-month contract, and in 12 months we went our separate ways. But I knew it the day we opened. But I didn't want to let people down.
Yeah.
I didn't want to tell people that I didn't think it was right. I mean, I wouldn't do the same again now. But and so, you know, but I didn't have a plan B. I fully committed.
Yeah.
So for me, that was it. It's still a plan. It was still a plan A. It was my plan A, just wasn't the same as their plan A.
Yeah.
So we still lived by that same plan. We just had to, you know, maneuver it. We had to be a little bit flexible, and that's fine.
No, but I agree with that. And you have to be flexible and you have to be able to pivot and change. But it's in that direction and sticking with the same thing, because like what you start building versus what it ends up being at the end of the day might not be right, because you have to take the customer feedback and the market feedback and the environment and the economy and everything around it that touches it can change. But it's just keep forging that path of, this is the thing, you know, there is no other thing. It's this thing, and this is what I'm working on for whatever your 12 months. And then you'll see at the end of the day. And when we get to that point, that's when I'll sit back and see, is this worth working, you know, continuing on.
The goal is always the same. The actions you might take to get there might change a little.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's where plan B is coming on actions. You know, if I think we need to do this to get there, actually, no, we need to do that. What's the, you know, what if that doesn't work? How do we do it? So it's an action based, but this definitely a mindset piece. And like he's written at the end, there's no greater force than creativity, determination and commitment than a person undistracted by a plan B. I don't think anybody with real passion about what they're doing in life has a plan B in the way that he's written it. It's very black and white.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you really are passionate and love what you do, and the saying that you'll never work a day again in your life, I completely agree with it. We work all the time, but we work because we adore it. And so there is no plan B in my mindset.
Yeah. No, and I get that, because even just like from Because I struggle as well, and it is totally the way my brain is wired, but it's, you know, settling on that's why I take a long time to settle on what I'm going to do and what I'm running towards. But I think, and a lot of people do that as well, because they're like, well, but there's no one thing I'm so passionate about. I wanted to consume my life, and that would be the only thing. But sometimes, and I thought it's Alex Harmonsia I got this from, it's like running away from something is something sometimes as motivational as running towards something. And for me, that's kind of what it is at the moment. I am running away from like too much structure and working towards somebody else's life plans and goals. So I want that freedom and flexibility and the opportunities to be able to like work on what I enjoy. So I'm running away from that. But what I'm running towards yet is still has to materialize in front of me. So within that, then I'm realizing what I don't want to do. And that's how I'm structuring it. And I think it's working best for me because I can't put my hand on, oh my God, I'm so passionate about this one thing and this is it. And I'll wrap my world around it and I build my plan A around it. And not everybody has that passion. So for me, it's figuring out what it is that I really don't want and making sure that everything is structured in the opposite way, you know?
Absolutely. But that again is down to planning. And these ones are about once you know your plan.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, when it comes to planning, just book in for a power hour with me, I'll sort you out. And when it comes to when you get that plan, you'll be so driven by it, you won't know what to do with yourself.
Just, you know, a plug there for Shan, don't worry about it.
Well, that's what I do, babes. That's what I do.
Okay, we're going to wrap it up.
Okay, fabulous. Thank you so much. I thoroughly enjoyed that. I think it's so nice because we come from such different sides of the coin. I hope that people get a lot from that. And if you do, please let us know. If there's subjects that you'd like us to talk about, please let us know. And don't forget to like and share.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter. Oh, it's gone. It was last week. Bye.
The music used for the opening and closing of this podcast is titled Pleasant Porridge by Kevin MacLeod. IncompeteTech.com. Licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 4.0. www.creativecommons.org/licenses/by/4.0.